Hey everyone, Dukin is here with another game tape review. I'm going to split it into two videos because there's a little too much for one, and I didn't want to cut anything out. If you're watching this one, the other one's probably uploaded too. Last Sunday, I released a video called How to Win Trials Games on Asylum, which is linked in the description. If you watch that video, it might give you a little clarity for this one, but the theme of the video was how important it is to take control of the overtime point and defend it. By doing so, you force your opponents to come to you, and you have the higher ground, and you can use your radar to predict where you're going to be challenged from, which is a critical advantage, and we aim for that throughout this game that I'm going to show you. Just like last week, JP and I were helping Johnny G with a flawless card. We were facing a pretty skilled team who I've linked in the description so you guys can check them out. This was a very close game for the flawless without mercy, so I figured it'd be a good game for a breakdown. I want to thank Johnny again for a great run and say GG's to our opponents. Let's get started. As I mentioned, top priority is getting the main room, so we rushed there right off the hop. Our opponents handed it to us without a fight, so we immediately go into lockdown mode. I maintain that the best way to win for average players is to not peek the sniper lanes and just camp the point if you can. However, JP is a top tier sniper, so we've agreed that he should challenge early in the round to potentially get things going. He bodies a player on the window and calls it out, which is why I rapidly leave broken and finish him off. Textbook call out by JP. Then he mows another player down on C stairs, and I push the first orb to try and prevent the res. They actually get the res, but with my teammates right behind me, I let one player shoot at me while I kill the easy res off spawn. We then collapse on the last player and win the round. In my opinion, this was a perfect round, and I wouldn't have changed anything. In round 2, we take the point again, which is a mistake by our opponents in my opinion. They should have acknowledged that we were going to play passively and disciplined by sitting up top and making them come to us. As you can see on the clock, this is going perfectly. We have control with time winding down. With just a few seconds on the clock, JP is peeking, trying to get one down, which is something I advise against. It's fine going for a pick early in the game, also early in the round, but there's no reason to risk map control with overtime approaching so soon. Without a pick, our opponents are going to have a tough time attacking us, but unfortunately he does get picked from A stairs, he admits his mistake, and our enemies move in, which eventually leads to our round loss. As the rest of the round unfolds, I want to do a little freeze frame here. I could have made a better attempt to recover for us. So there's a guy on my level to my right on A stairs where he picked JP, a guy lower, who I'm looking at, and a guy on my left. Instead of challenging the player in the front like I do, I could have used my shotgun and charged the guy on the right and got a quick one-hit kill. Knowing how close he is, and knowing that he doesn't have a shotgun, I'm confident I could have evened the score with a kill. Either way, we lost the round, and the only thing I really would have changed is having JP not go for a pick so late in the round. Because the last round went on for so long, JP's Blade Dancer is about to be charged. Knowing the top player on the other team only has 2 kills, JP is likely the only player to have a super, so we send him in right away. It's always a good plan to try and steal around with a mobile super if you get one early on, especially with little risk of being shut down. I eat a grenade as JP pops, but he manages to pick up 2 kills between mid and parking. We then collapse for the round win. This was another textbook round in my opinion given the circumstances. Prodigy is a Void Walker, and Serial is a Blade Dancer. If you look at the scoreboard here, Prodigy has 2 kills and Serial has 1. I figured even though there was one long round, neither of them would have their super. Even though Johnny doesn't have a kill, with Stormtrance charging as fast as it does, because Johnny was able to stay so close to us in the top room, and because he picked up the orb generated by JP, his super is now charged. This is the exact same story as last round. We have a mobile super, and they have nothing to shut it down, so we send him in. Trials is about snowballing your advantages, so if you have a mobile super and your enemies don't, or have anything to shut it down, that's a great time to go in. Notice that JP and I take different routes to prevent enemies from team killing Johnny or escaping. Johnny gets one and we clean up the rest in the midst of it all. Another textbook round in my opinion. I think we did a really good job making the most of our advantages early on. I'll briefly show heavy round before I wrap up part 1 as nothing really interesting happened. The plan was to rush their heavy, but we ended up spreading out a little and got picked off. You'll see me go for the heavy, as was planned, but Johnny wanders into the middle of the map and JP gets distracted behind me trying to get a pick. I end up getting heavy without any obstruction, but go down in a 3v1. In hindsight, I think we'd have had a better chance if Johnny and JP grabbed heavy like I did, so that's really all I would have changed in this round. Before I let you guys move on to part 2, I want to briefly go over the main takeaways from this video. On maps where the overtime point is easy to lock down, a viable strategy is to fight for the point and force your opponents to come to you. This only works if your entire team is committed to the strategy. If one guy gets bored and starts peeking lanes, he can get picked, which causes a collapse. Also, Trials is about snowballing advantages. If you get your super early on and your opponents don't have a super to shut you down, do not waste any time. Go in immediately, take the round, create orbs for your team, and bring it next round too if possible. That's it for the first half of the game, guys. Don't forget to drop a like and leave a comment if you agree or disagree with anything I said, as I'd love to hear your feedback. I'll see you in a minute for part 2.